IT project manager. I've worked as senior IT project manager. I've worked as a senior agile delivery manager. And also, currently, I'm also working as an associate lecturer for one of the beautiful universities in Manchester, handling advanced project management and also engineering management. So those are the two courses I'm handling for the master students in Manchester there. So and it's been wonderful. So that is a little bit of myself, and I've worked as Scrum Master, senior Scrum Master. So that is the intro from my own end. So today, allow me, thank you. So today we want to look at project management. Let me just share my screen. While I'm doing that, I want to know how many of us are indicated our interest. I think I saw, was it Chinelo? I know of there were two persons. Are those, is it only two of you that are interested in the project management will I say module? Don't mind me, that's how we call it. Well, let's just say the project management. Which how many people are interested in it so that we can we will know how to, how to discuss because I want it to be as interactive as possible. Okay, that's when you get the whole fun in project management. Like I told my students yesterday, I said, as a project manager, you don't work in silo. Okay, it's you work with a team. So you should learn to discuss with your team. Okay, bring out ideas from your team, sit them down, ask questions. And then as you keep asking questions, you'll be able to discover some things. You don't know it all, okay? And that's the beautiful thing. You're able to bring out the best in people. So I think we'll just try a little bit of that today. And let's just spend the next 5 minutes in discussing projects that we've actually engaged in, okay? Before we go into our slide for today. Project that we've actually engaged in. Can someone help us out? Have you ever engaged in any project, any sort of project that you can remember? Just run us through it in 1 or 2 minutes. Is there anyone that want to help us out? Okay, Olufunke, beautiful. Please bring it on. Tell us about the project that you did. What are the things that you did? What sort of preparation you made, and how did it go? Just from the start to the end. Just run us through it quickly.
Okay, good evening, and good evening, everyone. My name is Olufunke, and I've worked on a couple of projects, and I worked on the project as a business analyst.
Okay.
Yeah, the particular project was to I have so many in my head, but I'm trying to just pick one which is very straightforward. Okay, there was a particular project to move to change like an application in the organization from one that didn't have um interaction with a third party. So I had to dig into what we were experiencing, what HR wanted because they needed us to move to another application and you needed to interface with some APIs and stuff like that. So I had to dig, understand what we were experiencing, what we were doing, sorry, the Aziz, then see where we wanted to go, the new situation, where the destination of what result we wanted to achieve would be if we didn't um achieve that, what were the problems we will continue to face, the pain point of the users, what then trying to understand how the end users, which are the staff, how we would interact, then at the same time dig into a couple of things. So that's what I would say I did. So I gathered requirements for that. Um, then the cost. at a level seemed more than what the organization had planned because a particular interface seemed not to be ideal for what they had initially thought was going to work for us. So we had to then bring on additional developers who had more knowledge of more SMEs and all of that, Milaki, and that's what I can say about one of the projects. I hope that was
Hey,
what you wanted.
yeah, thank you very much. Just wanted to hear from someone with a project idea, how you were able to run through a project. That was very beautiful. I would have loved to just add something to it and say, all that you did, can you just break it into four different steps? Everything that you did. But let's see if there's any other person that got any other
Would you
project
have
that
preferred the star
before.
technique? Was that what you were
No, no,
saying?
no, no, not even the star techniques.
Okay.
Everything that you did, okay, from the onset of when the project was handed over to you, what was the first thing that you did? And then what was the next and next? Do you get it? Just break it into
Okay.
different phases, like three,
Right.
4 phases. That's all.
If I,
Summarize everything. Say, oh, the first thing I did was to do this. And
okay.
then after that, we did this. And after that, I did this.
Okay. First thing was when the project was brought to the team, I collaborated with the product owner. And after that, I identified the different stakeholders. Then I gathered the requirements, then documented the requirements, had a refinement session, the three amigos, then passed back to the team and handed over to the developers.
Good. Now you can see the step now. You see how it makes more sense
More
to
sense.
someone
Yeah.
that is out there that the first thing you did was to have a discussion with the product owner. Okay. And after that, requirement gathering. And after that, so these are steps. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Any other person, any project that you've done at all, even if it's your younger sister's wedding, it's a project. Even if it's the ashevi that you got for them, or the say that they did during Christmas, which was handed over to you as a project, you took care of that. That's a project. Okay, so there are so many things that people don't look at and say, "Ah, this is actually a project," but it is, in a sense. Any other person before we move on quickly? No one. Okay, thank you very much, Olufunke. And that was quite encouraging, actually. Actually, that shows that you understand what we are talking about when it comes to projects. So for today, we'll just give a brief definition of. I'm trying to share my screen. Sorry, just a minute. I hope you can see my screen. Can you see it, please?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. So quickly, what our first session, this first session, we'll just look at an introduction into project management, and then we'll also see the Agile Delivery Manager and the Agile Project Manager. Okay, these are different roles, and there are slight difference when it comes to their responsibilities. And then we'll definitely put a definition to project management itself and look at the different phases of a project. Okay, so that we can have an understanding of what a project is. Because project management is so important that every organization realizes they need the skills there. And then if you go to companies these days, you will notice that so many companies now, they're not only embracing project management as a profession, they are also bringing in their staffs, upskilling their staffs. to ensure that they are able to work with these skills. So many companies, if you come to NHS, I have a friend working in NHS now, and she said, oh, that they are bringing in, coach to train the old staffs on project management. Some are being trained agile project management. Okay, so there are so many training going on. Why? Because they've come to realize the importance of project management. So today we'll just quickly look at project management, and we'll put a definition to it, like I said. Understanding key leadership functions in modern project delivery. So, what is project management? A quick definition: the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities in order to meet the project requirements. Okay? So, there's a requirement, there's a project to be carried out. So, the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to those projects to the project activities in order to meet the project requirements. So why? What is the purpose? And the purpose is to achieve specific goals within defined constraints. And those constraints are scope, time, cost, and quality. Every company, they have an objective, what they want to achieve. When a company is set up, they have mission, vision, okay? They say, oh, we are setting up this company for this reason. We need to make more money. We need to reach out to people. We need to help people. Okay, so every company is set up for a particular reason. There's a problem out there that they want to solve. And as you're solving this problem, you are helping people and you are also having returns on your own part. So they have objectives. So the purpose is to achieve specific goals within defined constraints. So these constraints, we'll be looking at them: scope, time, cost, and quality. They are all part of what they call the project management triangle. So you will time in, time out, you will have reasons to, move around this constraint, and then you will create what we call trade-offs within a project. What is the cost of the project? What is the scope of that project? What is the time duration? Is it going to take 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? Because the longer it takes, the more money you spend. So you need to be able to manage the time. If your project is going to take 3 months and you've budgeted £100,000 for that, you want to ensure that it doesn't move to 4, 5 months, because then you will overrun your budget. And then key characteristics of a project: they are temporary, they have unique output, progressive, and there's elaboration to it, because as the project goes on, there is need, okay? There are some projects that there will be requirement for scalability. You want to increase the scale of the project. You want to, move to something larger. Maybe you've done a particular level of, there's a particular level of input, and then you now think, oh, we can actually increase it. Or you just did a phase one, thinking of bringing up phase two later on. Okay. So you should have all these ideas. You should have all this information in mind. So why is it important? Why is project management important? Because it ensures successful delivery, optimizes the use of resources, and it helps you, when you have that skill, to be able to manage risk. Okay? There are so many projects that failed, and there are reasons for such failure. So with good project management skills, knowledge, understanding, you are able to prevent all this. There's a huge project. There was a project that went down in UK here. Maybe you've heard of the HS2, the rail project, the heavy, and they've spent billions on it. What happens now? They had to close it down. There's a reason for that. Okay? The cost went to the roof. And at the end of the day, they were not actually achieving the set objectives. So I think the previous Prime Minister had to just shut down the project. So that's a huge, at a huge cost. But that could have been avoided. Could have been avoided. But let's not dwell on that. Let's continue. So, what are the core concepts in project management? I did mention the triple constraint. That's the project management triangle: the scope, the time, the cost. When we say what is the scope of the project, we are talking of what needs to be done. Within that project, what are the things that you want to do? What do you want to achieve? Say, oh, we want to build a bridge. That's a project. And the scope from A to Z, you want to build it from this point to this point at this length. That's the scope. What needs to be done? What about time? When it needs to be done? Is it going to be 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? We need to state all this and put it in the document. And the cost, how much will it cost? Okay, so you can see the constraint. All these three needs to work together for us to have a good quality. Like I did mention the bridge. If you want to have a bridge, we know the cost, let's say £2 million. And the time, we say it's 18 months. And then the scope, like I mentioned, it's, let's say 10-kilometer bridge. Okay, so if we want to get this done, at what quality? We decide what's quality. So when you bring all these constraints together, you'll be able to determine the quality of the bridge. But there's also something that can happen. There are times where you have to adjust one of these constraints. What happens if 18 months become 24 months? When the time increases, something happens to the cost. The cost will also increase. Okay? The quality might remain the same, but when the time increases, the cost will also increase. So there are times where you have to adjust one variable and that affects the other for whatever reasons. Maybe they told you to build a bridge in 18 months, and all of a sudden there's a change in government. And then they want to just rush everything and complete it. And they say, oh, we are very sorry. We don't have 18 months now. Please complete everything in 15 months. Something needs to be done. That means you still, okay, instead of working 12 hours every day, now you have to work 24 hours. And in order for you to do that, you need more resources. You need more people. And you will have a discussion with whoever gave you that job. Oh, this is going to cost you more. Why? Because I need more hands on deck. So you can see, as you reduce the time, now it's going to cost you more because you need more people to get this done. So the point is, this constraint can be adjusted. Either you move it forward, you move it backward, however it goes, it will definitely change the order. Now, what is the interrelationship? Changes in one often affect the others, like I mentioned. And then there are other keys, other key areas. We have the resources, people that will be used, and materials that will be used, and then risk. What are the risks? It's also part of your skill to understand the risk involved in a project. Risk management. It's a key point that you need to understand. Then communication and stakeholders management, even procurement. These are important parts that you cannot miss out in a project. So as we move along, you will get to understand how do you manage stakeholders? How do you analyze the stakeholders? What about the risk? How do you monitor risk? How do you identify the risk? How do you analyze the risk? How do you create a risk register for any project? So these are things that we'll be looking at during the course of our project management session, because they are quite important in the sense that when you go for interview, these are things that people want to ask. They want to know, okay, you've handled this project. What were the risks? How do you manage the risk? You need to be able to explain it. And then the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders involved? So all these you need to be able to analyze. So yeah, there are quite a lot that we'll be looking at within the project management uh, sessions because, like Juliet did mention, there's a whole lot. But what we try to do here is to summarize everything in order for you to understand the key concept, and then there will be live projects, or um, project examples that we're going to use in order for you to understand how to start a project, monitor, control, and then bring it to completion. Okay, and we're going to be doing that for the two major project management methodology. We'll be doing that for the agile project management and also for the waterfall project management. You will have an example of a project and we'll run it through from beginning to the end using the agile method, and then we'll also repeat that for the waterfall method. Now, when I say the methods, we understand the waterfall method and the agile method. There are two different project management methodology that we need to understand. Okay, in when you go to companies these days, everybody wants to, or most companies want to embrace the agile way of working. You will also get to understand what it means when we say agile project management, and also the um, waterfall project management or the traditional project management. It's the same as waterfall. Okay, so we'll be looking at those also because when you go out there, employers want to ensure that you have an idea of both methodologies because you don't know what sort of project will come your way. So they want to be sure that, oh, you have an idea of what the waterfall side of things are, and then you can also dabble over things when it comes to the traditional project management. Okay, now for the traditional project life cycle, these are all the different phases for a project. Every project will need to go through these phases. That was why I was asking her to, just put everything that she's done, she should put it in different phases, you know, and she was able to just, separate them, and that makes more sense. So for every project, you will have the initiation phase. That's the first phase for the project, the initiation phase. That's where you are defining the project, the objectives, and feasibility. What this project want to achieve. Why do we need this project? These are the problems the project wants to, deal with. The project is here to solve this sort of project, this sort of problems. You are telling everything about the project, and then this will now go to the major stakeholders. They will look at it and now say, okay, is it okay? Do we need to go along with this project? Board of directors will see it, stakeholders, every one of them, they will look at it. Is this going to make us money? What are the risks involved? And is it doable? Is it not doable? What about the cost? Is it something that we can afford? They will look at all this. And then, once they give a go ahead, you can now move to the next phase, which is planning. You're going to now plan how it will be done. How will the project, how will it be carried out? Okay, so you now develop a detailed roadmap on how the project will be carried out. You look at the task involved, the resources that you're going to use, what time is going to take to complete it, and what is the cost of this project. All this will come in within the planning phase. And then you move on to execution, which is the proper carrying out the plan itself. This is the doing part of it. You want to now do the work. After you've gotten the budget, the schedule, the tasks, the resources, you know who's doing what, you've assigned everyone. Okay, let's move on. Let's do the job. This is the execution part. And you start. So when you are carrying out the execution, you're also controlling and monitoring every phase. You're tracking the progress, you're managing changes, Because as you're carrying out the project, there will be times where changes will come. Oh, we need to put a change to this. Oh, this is not the best. We need to carry out the, just like she did mention, something happened along the way and they had to change. So there will always be changes coming up in project. So you also plan for it. You have a change management plan set aside. You know how to go about that. There will be a board that will be able to, as a board that will sign off any form of change. And they will be the one that will assess it and say, okay, we can get this done. If it's not, they will knock it off. And then when you're done with that, you now move to the final phase, closure. The project is completed. Closure, that's the formal completion and handover. And during every phase of this project, there are several documentation that are required. During initiation, okay, there are initiation documents like your PID, project initiation document. In your planning, there are documentation required. Execution, monitoring, closure, several documentation. So some of these documents, we'll be looking at them. You will get templates, okay, so you can understand what they are. And then when you see them tomorrow or some other day, you won't be surprised and say, "Oh, I haven't seen that before." Definitely, they are part of what we'll be looking at. And then when we split the we will also have a session, like I mentioned before, where we will look at a full project on Agile and all the documentation that goes with it. And then a full project on waterfall, like did mention also, and all this documentation also. So let's move on because of our time. Now, transitioning to agile and adaptive approaches. There are several companies now, like I did mention, that are looking for project managers with experience in both agile and traditional project management. That's the waterfall. I had an interview some time back, and the beautiful thing was that, oh, they just asked, tell us, give us an example of a project that you did using the waterfall methodology. And also tell us another one that you did using the agile. And what are the constraints thereof, and how did you manage to resolve them? You can see. So if you're not experienced in both, you may not be able to deal with such a question because they want someone with an experience that cuts across the board. So let's look at transitioning to agile and adaptive approaches. There are so many companies now. They are transitioning from the old ways to the new ways. So many companies. I have a friend in London. She works with one of the rating companies, one of the huge rating companies in America, and they were looking for an agile coach, okay, because most of their project was done in waterfall, and now they're trying to embrace the agile way of working. So they needed a coach that can put them through, teach, the staffs, and that shows how important it is because organizations now they know the importance of working within the agile environment. So they want to take the advantages that are there, add it to their success story, and also help themselves to achieve their business objectives. So limitations of traditional PM, that's PM is project management. When we're talking about the limitations, in high uncertainties, and then in an environment where we have where we have rapidly changing environments, like this tech world that we are in now, AI dominated environments, things are moving rapidly. And the same way within the business world, things are moving very fast. If you have an app that you are planning to release, if you're not fast moving your app to the market, before you say Jack, someone else already released it. You have a business idea. While you are busy thinking over several months, before you go out there, someone else has released it. Okay? So with this, you need to get things done faster. But the traditional way, because it's staged, It takes so long a time. You need to complete a step. And then when you're done, that is approved, signed off, then you move to the next step. And then you move to the next step. So it takes quite a while to deal. It takes quite a while to complete. And it's kind of rigid. Okay. So within the adaptive approach for Agile, the emergence of Agile tends to act as a response to the need for greater flexibility, responsiveness, and continuous value delivery. Just like I did mention, you know, the traditional way is quite rigid, and the business environment is, rapidly changing on a fast pace. So you need something that can respond quickly to change. Something that you can, something that can respond quickly to customers' needs. And customers' needs are changing every day. The customer wants a mobile app that is this way, and tomorrow they'll tell you, oh, I think we would prefer something with maybe voice recording feature. And then you get them voice recording feature. And then the next thing, they want something that can actually manage both the audio and also video. So when this come, because they are the customers, like they always say, customers are always right. You need to be able to respond to those changes. So your product can be seen as user friendly because, whatever it is that you're doing, it's user centric, centered on what the users want. It's not about you because whatever your project is for the clients, is for the customers. So you should be able to respond swiftly to the customer's need. So what Agile does is to give you that flexibility, okay, and swift responsiveness also, and then shifting project leadership. Agile changes how projects are managed, leading to evolving roles beyond the traditional project manager. Okay, remember I said we're going to be looking at the agile project manager, the traditional project manager. We'll be looking at all their responsibilities and then just see little differences that are there. But first, we want to just see project itself, project management itself, which we've looked at, and now we are gradually moving to the other side of it. There's so much within the PM that we'll be looking at. Like each and every one of those phases, we'll be dealing with each of those phases one after the other and looking at the documents that are there. Okay, like I was discussing with my students yesterday, and we're talking about gap analysis. We're talking about scope creep, and they were like, "Oh, I've never heard that before." So we had to give we gave not just a talk, but we gave an example with a project, how you can run your gap analysis, consider an issue that existed within a project. How do you resolve it from one point to the other? Okay, we will get there. So, evolving roles in agile environment, the agile team structures. One thing about the structure of the agile team is that it's self-organizing. It's a cross-functional team. And then there are distributed responsibilities. Okay? Distributed responsibilities. Within the agile team, you have um, different sets of not just the team, but roles. You see, when the lady that gave an example of her project was talking, she did mention developers, she did mention product owner, she did mention business analyst. Okay, so all these are team cross-functional teams that you'll be working with within the agile management side of things. Those are the team members that you'll be working with, and you want to understand what is it that they do. How is their work linked to what the project requires? These are specialties, every one of them coming together. These are experts in what they do. You have the Scrum Master, you have the business analysts, you have the developers, and part of them you have the QA, okay, testers, wonderful people. Every one of them coming together, working together. That's why they call them cross-functional teams because they have different functions, and all these functions come together in order to achieve a specific goal. So they are working together as a team, okay? And then there are some specialized roles that oversees what the team does in different ways, like the delivery manager, agile project manager, that helps to navigate complexity and ensures success of the team and the project. Okay. So you will have an idea of, okay, what exactly is the job function of an agile project manager? Or you say, okay, an agile delivery manager. Because in some companies, those roles actually, you know, they're intertwined. Most companies will tell you they want the agile delivery manager. Okay, they want someone with agile project manager experience. They just mix it up. So it happens. It's allowed. It's your company. So you can get it done the way you want. I hope you can all hear me, please. Hi, Olufunke.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Just want to be sure that we're still together. So, why do they engage all these people? Why do you bring the agile project manager together, the scrum master, the business analyst? Why do you bring every one of them together? Because they all have a role to play. They all have specific duties that they need to carry out in achieving whatever set objectives the organization has already put in place. Okay, so and they emerge to support the agile principle. There's something they call the agile principles. It's a list, but we don't need to go into that for now. Just know that there is an agile principle, or there's a list. I would say the agile principles. Okay, so no, in summary, what I'm trying to achieve is to introduce it to not only project management, but to give you an understanding of the agile part of it and also the waterfall part of project management. Because project management is so important and it's so large that every single company you go to or establishment, they require a project manager. The hospitals, they need project managers. The hotels, they need project managers. Defense, Ministry of Defense, the local councils, name them, universities, IT companies, construction companies, everywhere you go to, there's a need because you're either delivering a product or a project. And these days, everything is centered on that product, no matter what it is that you're trying to give out. It's not product based. So you need the skills of a project manager to be able to manage the project, monitor the project, give the progress report back to the stakeholders, and then ensure that it aligns with the business objectives. So it's something that's going to save so much money when you combine these skills together. And that's why they always need us. Okay? Okay, so let's look at the Agile Delivery Manager now. What is the core focus of the Agile Delivery Manager? They call them the ADM, Agile Delivery Manager. He facilitates the delivery process. Okay. From the top, he removes impediments. That means whatever problem that is that the team they are facing in general, because he's managing maybe several teams. So he helps them out by taking care of whatever problem it is that they are facing. The same way the Scrum Master does for his own Scrum team. And in doing this, he optimizes the flow of value within and across the teams. You see, because he's managing the team and is responsible for, he's responsible for bringing, he's responsible for giving a feedback to management. He ensures that there's a good flow of value within and across the teams. And also, he does coaching because he understands how the project goes. He does coaching, mentoring. There are times where you will meet some of the team members might be having issues. Maybe they need to skill up. Maybe there's an app that they don't understand. Maybe there's a tool they don't understand. There's a collaborative tool that they don't know how to engage with. For example, we are using Zoom for this meeting. We might as well use Teams, but it's possible that there are people that don't understand how to use those tools in an organization when they come in. So it's the duty of the top leaders to ensure that everyone get trained in using those tools. So it's part of what the ADM does. And he also ensures that there's an effective use of the agile framework, whatever framework that is being used, either the Scrum, the Kanban, it must be used effectively. People go to the board effectively, ensures that tasks are carried out the way it should. As you continue, you will get to understand what the Scrum board is, what the Kanban board is as a framework in Agile. And then how do you use it? And that's the beautiful thing about BlueSky. Okay? They've paid so much, thousands of pounds to get all these tools. You have your Azure DevOps where you can, use your Scrum board, create it, populate it, put in tasks. And these are exactly what the companies are using. It's the same thing that we use in BlueSky. Okay. And, the beautiful thing is that we are so busy that you get worked up so much that when you actually get back to wherever you get the job, at times it will just be a walkover because you've actually done more during your training than what you're being asked to do. It's like a friend of mine that got a job with um, let me not call the name of the company, but it's in UK here. She got a job there. And what are they doing? The first 2, 3 weeks, they're just putting them through. Okay, the use of Jira. This is how you start. You want to create the first page. You want to create a task, create a project, and they were just on that for almost a month. And this is something that she's been using. She was just using that time to relax. She didn't want to show off to say, "Oh, I know too much." So it was like an extra time for her. So the point I'm making is focus on this, and then you would definitely get the best and you would definitely enjoy it. So part of the responsibility for the ADM, shielding the delivery team from external distractions, managing dependencies and risk at the delivery level. Okay, there will be some tasks, some features that will depend on one and another. If you have two different projects, it's possible that there are there might be some tasks that will just cut across the board. There might just be some features that are required for both. So how do you manage it? Who does what first? So all this need to be aligned properly and say, okay, this is the stage. Stage A needs to happen first, and then B will happen next. Team one needs to use this first, and team two will then use it after on. Okay? So all these arrangements, they are part of what the ADM ensures happens properly so that there can be a smooth running of all the different projects. And then he fosters a culture of continuous improvement and learning. You don't just say you know it all and then you don't continue learning. No, once in a while they bring in different tools, different apps, different, there will be reason for you to learn something different. There might be a different way of achieving what you've been doing before. So you always learn continuously improve. If you've gotten a project done, when you're through with the project, you need to analyze and look at Do your lessons learned. Okay, what did we do properly? What is it that we could improve on? All these are meetings that you will have, discussions in order for you to improve better. So when next you're doing something else or the same project, you should be able to get it done with better quality and better results. So he is also responsible for delivery progress reports to top management and also the team health. How are the team doing? Are they doing well? The team members, individuals there, what's happening to them? All these need to be checked. Okay. And then for the agile project manager, you can see the slight difference. For the agile project manager, the core focus is he oversees the strategic project vision. You see the difference there now, just a little difference. He oversees the strategic project vision and he manages the overall project scope, the budget, and stakeholder relationship. So that's his own major task. And then key responsibilities: defining and communicating the project goals and objectives. And he does this by discussing with the product owner most times, or the project sponsor. Okay, so the definition of and communication of the project goals and objectives. This is part of his task. And then risk and issues from the project level. It's also part of what he manages. As much as the Scrum Master and the other team, or okay, let's just say as the Scrum Master or the junior project manager will definitely do a risk analysis and then bring the report to him. So he kind of collate all the risk and issues and then they will put everything into a risk register and then sends to him, and then he manages that by communicating it to the top management. Okay. Resource planning, allocation across all the different projects. Do you need more developers? Like what she mentioned, they needed more developers. So that would have gone to the APM and he will handle that and make sure that it's sorted out. Then stakeholder communication and expectation management. He deals with the stakeholders from the top. Every communication that comes from underneath, he passes it on to the stakeholders. And then whatever expectation there is for the project. Oh, we needed the project to go this way. This is the path that we want the project to go. This is what we want to achieve. It's all part of what he does. And he manages that also. And whatever strategy that they want to work on. Because for every organization, there's a strategy that you need to go with. Every organization, there's a strategy, there's a culture, organizational strategy. Okay? Like if you go to McDonald's now, when you get to McDonald's, there's something you will notice: the way they dress, the way they serve, the way the place is arranged. Okay? That's their culture. Something you can see once you get there. There's a way they arrange their seats. There's a way they drive through. It's arranged, designed. All those are cultures, part of their culture, the physical one. And then their strategy. There was a time where there was no drive-through. They had so many customers within, people were queuing and it was taking forever. And then somebody just decided, why don't we just have a drive-through? Others could just drive through, grab their stuffs, and then they're gone. And then they brought that strategy in. So for every organization, there are different strategies. The strategy that an hotel owner will use will be different from the strategy that a banking organization will use. Okay? There are different strategies because you have different clients. You have different customer base. Remember, look at the example that I gave: a bank, an hotel. If a bank owner wants to look for customers, he wants to develop his organizational strategy. He may not necessarily design it in such a way as to gather crowd within the banking hall. No, these days, most of the banking activities are done online. So in fact, there are some people that have never been to their bank before. They open it on the app, they send their money in, send their documentation, everything on the app. But for an hotel, you definitely will need presence. Okay, so your strategy will be different. So the APM ensures alignment of the project with organizational strategy and then bridging the gap between agile execution and broader organizational governance. He bridges the gap. When we talk about the governance, it's the way that organization steers a group of people, what they do, and then bring control to those activities. That's part of the governance. So he bridges the gap between the agile execution and the organizational governance. So that's part of the task for the APM. And then the key traits: he's a strategic thinker, he's a strong communicator, he's a risk manager, and business focused. Like I said, to a set of, I was discussing with some sets of project team members. And I was telling them that you don't work in silos. You need to learn how to communicate properly. Okay, when you're dealing with project, you should be able to speak up and then get people's ideas. It's not just you don't just lord your ideas on people, but you let people say or let them say their mind. Bring ideas, and then when we wrap up all these ideas, we're able to make better progress. Okay, so now the ADM versus the APM key distinctions. I've mentioned some of them. The Agile Delivery Manager, his primary focus is on how the team delivers, process efficiency, team dynamics, and day-to-day flow of work within the delivery pipeline. Okay, while the APM, the Agile Project Manager, his own focus is what is delivered, overall project success, the business value, managing external factors, and strategic alignment, like I did mention. So, what are the overlaps? Both roles, they actually work towards successful outcomes. They facilitate communication, they manage dependencies, they remove impediments, though they do that at different levels. And then for organizational context, the exact responsibility can vary greatly between organizations. Sometimes one role may encompass aspects of the other. In fact, there are some companies that will take one person to handle both of these roles. In fact, most companies these days, they do that because they don't want to, have too many people doing few stuffs. Okay, so what are the benefits of specialized agile roles? These roles that we're talking about, what are the benefits? Enhanced focus. There are clearer responsibilities that lead to better execution and strategic oversight. Those responsibilities are clear. You know what the ADM does, you know what the APM does. Everybody knows what their own task is. Just like if you have a Scrum team, the business analyst knows his or her task. The Scrum Master knows his or her task. The tester knows what to be done. So everybody knows their responsibilities. And then, as such, when they do what they need to do, there's improved delivery, strategic alignment, then there will be better risk management. Why? Because they are able to analyze all the different risks involved within the project. They analyze all the different risks. And then when they do, they're able to come up with mitigation plans. They say, oh, for this project, what are the risks involved? This could happen. If it happens, what can we do? Okay, this is what we'll do. And what's the severity of this risk? If it happens, how bad will it be? Is it going to close down the whole project or what? We want to know how severe it is. We'll look at the severity. And then we'll now look at the mitigation plan. What can we do if it happens? To avoid it, to manage it, okay? And then we assign that task to someone. Someone needs to own it. If this happens, Mr. A, Miss A will do this. And then we'll manage that situation. Then we can now say, okay, is it closed out? When during progress reports, you need to tell if it is closed out or not. Because the top management wants to know, oh, this risk that was raised, at what level is it now? Oh, it's been closed out. Oh, it's been properly managed. They need to know. And then increased adaptability. Agile roles facilitate responsiveness to change. And that's the beautiful thing. At any point, you can always bring in change and then it will be managed, unlike the waterfall. And then empowered teams. All the team, they have dedicated support for delivery challenges. They know where to call to. They know where to get help from. And then they can reach out and then they will resolve whatever it is that impediment is. Whatever problem therein will be resolved. So remember that I did mention that we'll be looking at waterfall as a full project. We'll also look at agile as a full, uh, as a full session. Okay, because it will help to bring clarity. I'm just bringing everything together within this introductory session, just to let you know what exists and then what it is, what we're doing, what project managers do, and then some of the different roles and responsibilities. That's just what this is all about. We've not really gone deep into project management itself, but we'll definitely do that. We may not go in too many details, but you will get to understand all the different phases. When we say project initiation, what does it mean? What's involved? We will look at that in detail. When we move to planning, we'll look at that also. Okay, we'll move to execution, we'll also look at, and then you will see examples of projects. Bring out a project and say, okay, let's look at the initiation phase. So that way you will get to understand and appreciate it better. Now, what are the challenges and considerations for the Agile Delivery Manager and the Agile Project Manager roles? Role clarity. Sorry, let me get this stuff away. Okay. So, potential for ambiguity or overlap if not clearly defined. If there's no clarity of role, there will be a potential for ambiguity or overlap if you don't define it clearly. And then there's cultural shift because organizational willingness to embrace new leadership models is required. Just, just like you have, when you're talking about training, I did mention a friend that works in a company and then they're trying to get an agile coach. One of the challenges that the agile coach faced was reluctance. The team, all the staffs were reluctant to embrace the new, the new the shift. They were reluctant to embrace the new technology. Most of them were just complaining about, oh, why do you bring the agile and stuffs. But eventually, that was way back. When they now learned it, they now saw how easy it actually makes their work. And they were able to deliver faster, more efficient, and then the issue of errors were reduced because the kind of bugs they were having before in numbers very high. But with this new method, it reduced about 65% reduction. And they were like, wow, now they love it. But initially, they were reluctant to embrace it. So that's how people are when it comes to change. And then skill set. There's a demand for a unique blend of agile knowledge, leadership, and technical understanding. That's how it comes. You must learn some new techniques. You must learn some new, how to use new tools, how to engage with them. There are several of them that you will get to hear of, okay? As the session progresses, you'll be hearing things like Mura board, Miro board, Azure DevOps, Jira, Confluence, you'll be hearing all this, but they are very interesting. And also collaboration is essential for these roles to work effectively together and with other agile roles. We all need to work together, okay? You have a meeting where you have the senior project manager, you have the design architect, you have the testers, the developers, the product owner. And what are we doing? We are working together in order to achieve set goal, collaborating. And we do this because we have a specific goal to achieve. And everyone, they know what they need to do. But we need to come together because everything that we do needs to align with the overall goal of the organization. And then whatever product it is that we're trying to deliver. So that's why we work together. Just like we are all together now, just to, understand some things when it comes to project management. That's why we are all here collaborating together. And then scaling agile. We're talking about challenges and consideration for APM and ADM. Scaling agile, challenges in implementing these roles effectively in very large and complex programs. There are some companies that are very large and they have so many product lines. They have so many different projects going on at the same time. So in such a case, you will need special skills, special training, experience level to be able to handle such. A company that has 5, 4, 6 product line will be different from the one that has about 150 product lines. You can imagine. And each product line is a full project on its own with a full team working on it. So you can see that they are quite complex. So in such a case, you'll be talking about scaling agile. And that goes with a different set of skill sets, experience level, team members. Okay? So let's move on. Let me not bore you with scaling agile. In conclusion, traditional project management provides a foundational understanding. That's what it does, a foundational understanding of how a project is being delivered, managed, monitored, and then the agile environment introduces specialized roles like the ADN, APM, and it helps to manage complexity and drive continuous value. So the ADM focuses on delivery efficiency, while the APM focuses on what? Strategic project success. And the choice and definition of these roles depends on project and organizational context, depends on what the organization wants, depends on the strategy that they want to follow. And also the future of project management, hybrid approach, continuous evolution of the roles. Sorry, I'm just trying to move. Yeah. So the future of project management, you will learn to bring in experience from both ends. Okay, I'm saying this now because some people just feel, oh, they just want to focus on agile and forget the other one. You'll be surprised. Someone told me that they went for an interview for, it's an interview for one of the councils. and they were more interested in traditional project management. Oh, do you have Prince 2 experience, waterfall experience? As much as they are embracing agile, but they still want people with strong focus on the traditional project management. So it's always the best for you to embrace both. Ensure you learn it, understand how it's done so that you become a master because you are competing in a world where so many people are trying to upskill themselves so that they can be better at what they do. And that's what we do here. We expose you to both. We're not, there are some other training, there are some other places you go to, and all they do, they'll just say it's only agile we know. Oh, sorry, we don't know the other part. We don't do traditional project management. And there are some, it's just traditional that they can tell you of. They can't go this other way. But here, God has helped us out. At least we have people that can handle all the different parts when it comes to project management. If it's agile, if it's traditional project management, you are in safe hands. So let's move on to our question for the day. Bring up your question. Thank you very much. Yes, Solufunke.
Um, Thank you so much. That was very, very detailed presentation. We appreciate that. My question is, what's the major difference between a project manager and a scrum master? I know what a scrum master does and a project manager, but sometimes it seems just like you're saying the delivery manager kind of overlaps.
Yeah.
I tend to think the scrum master and the project manager tend to be the same. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a question I have in my head.
Yeah,
As
yeah. It's a regular question that comes up, you know. In There are some companies that will say they need a project manager. Some, especially IT companies, they need a project manager. And then when you look at the job description, some of the functions of a scrum master will show up. They want someone that is able to facilitate some of these ceremonies, someone that understands the agile way of working. So gradually you notice that they're tilting towards a scrum master, but they are different. Okay, when you say a scrum master, you know who a scrum master is, the one that handles the scrum team, it helps with the facilitation of all the different ceremonies, also help with the impediments, manages the team. But when it comes to a project manager is more of project focused. Now, when I mean project focused, he's more into he's he the project management is more into a holistic part of the whole project. Like he's the one that will look at the planning, the initiation. He's the one that will liaise with whoever the uh you know um he's the one that will generate in some cases, or in most cases, let me say in most cases, he's the one that will go and initiate all the different requirements that has to do with the initiation phase, like the project ask. Okay. And all these are information that he will get from either the project sponsor or the product owner in some cases. And then with all this information, he puts it into a business case to hand over to the management. The Scrum Master won't go that far. Okay. Which is definitely that's not part of the Scrum Master's uh, uh, responsibility. So he's the one that will now break down whatever it is that management have accepted into a planning phase. He can even split it into a work breakdown structure and say this comes first, this comes first, this comes first. Okay. The project manager will now say, okay, this project, these are the resources that will be required. This is the schedule. Okay. Then he will have a meeting to analyze the risk. He will also do the stakeholder management part of it, analyze all the different stakeholders, identify them, okay? Create the stakeholder matrix, create the RACI metrics, who's responsible for what. So all these are detailed documentation that the manager will go into, and they are not part of what the Scrum Master does. But I understand why you are bringing up this question, because so many companies also, they will just put the name project manager, but somehow what they really want is a Scrum Master. But they just want someone that's not just going to be boxed up in the Scrum Master world, that should be able to do some of the project manager's responsibility also, because they're just trying to cut costs. So that's where the similarity comes to play. And you find that mostly in IT projects, in IT companies. That's where you see the similarity, where they'll say a project manager, and they want a project manager that can facilitate Scrum ceremonies. Okay. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned something that the project manager actually does an extensive work, which I agree. But the area of stakeholder management, the race matrix, I understand the project manager will do that. But is it the project manager's role to identify the stakeholders at that stage, or it's when the BA has received what the ask of the project is, and it goes into trying to understand who needs to be um, contacted for the project, who the SME on this is, and all that and all that. Because I kind of had an issue with that, and they were like, it's the BA's role to go and identify and find out. So when you said the project manager now, I wanted to ask who is actually responsible for.
Okay. Now, it depends on the kind of project. It depends on the organization. Okay. Different organization, different project setup. The kind of setup you are talking about now has to do with is it a Scrum setup where you have
Yeah.
product owner, Scrum Master, and all that, right?
There wasn't a Scrum Master, but we have the project owner, the delivery, all the um, team
No, it's an
members.
IT kind of project.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. In such a case, uh, you know, what you were given, uh, what you were given, the phase at which the project gets to you, the information that got to you was from the product owner, right? All the requirements came from the product owner.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So those
But not
requirements,
in all cases, to be honest, not because it's so much a funny organization that when something is coming, it could actually be the delivery during stand up and say, oh, this is the project that is likely to come to the team. I will get more information when I'm ready, whatever, whatever. And during whatever she puts it out there. So that's how it comes.
okay. Okay, so you will get more information. Now, those more information, where are they coming from? Coming from the top, from somewhere.
Yeah, the delivery is the one in touch with the business.
That's good. So who are the delivery teams? So,
Well, delivery manager, just one person. That's the delivery manager is the one who goes to do all that bit, and she just brings the information to the team. That's the way it works.
yes. So they go to do the bid, okay? And that bid contains the business case. That's what I'm saying. That
Okay.
bid contains the business case. And then that's been handed over to either the product owner, and then he or she splits that into different bits, requirements, and then you can now populate your backlog with that, start talking about your refinement. But from that top, somebody did some task, which is the product that we need to do. That was what I was talking about, the initiation phase. What is it that we want to do? Oh, we want to build an app. Why do you want to build this app? What do you want to achieve? All those must have been done somewhere, and then they will now bring that down to the PO. And from that point, you can now start splitting it into, because the PO will definitely ask questions. this that you want. How do you want it? Do you want it this way? Do you want it this way? Do you want it this way? So that's it. It now, split it into different bits and pieces. So that's what you will now get. But the point I'm trying to make is this, okay? At that top level, the project manager, if he's involved, because not in all cases, in some cases, the agile, the delivery team will handle that, okay? And that means they will now be functioning as the project manager in that case. They will be the one that will take care of all the business case and all that stuff. But there are some peculiar projects that the project manager will have to deal with all this. We'll start from the beginning, the initiation, the business case, the product initiation document, the um, the summary. All these will have been done before it comes to you. So it depends. Different organization and with different ways of working. Some organization they will just get the project, okay, from clients. Oh, clients say we should build this website for them, you know, and then the delivery team will hand that over to the PO. The PO will now ask detailed questions, and those questions will now form what you guys will now put into your backlog. So it depends. It depends. I get your question. Yeah, it depends. But just like I said, different organizations and different products, different projects, the way it goes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other person? Now, curious, are they too